Hey there, folks. So I went to upload my last video for plastic reuse and realized we had run out of storage. So I'm going to try this again, and it's going to be a little more abbreviated than the first one was, but I still want to cover some options for plastic reuse, as well as some important sustainability concepts that we've already touched on. Just want to kind of revisit and reiterate those points, and I had enough of a plant left to make one more with the lone plastic bottle that I have left. So I'm going to be using this plastic bottle, and I'm going to hope a similar shape can take form, pinching off at about the middle point and then cutting straight across, similar to what we did in our bug trap videos. I'm going to pinch and just let it pop if it has to. The plastic's pretty tough. I've got it off screen because I don't want to hit myself in the face. Curl my fingers in so that we don't take off any appendages today. So I had already posted some links about plastics, plastic use, and some concepts for reuse of plastics within the realm of the discussions we've already had on sustainability. And so what's important here is I'm taking things that would otherwise be trash. So that's the strength of the system, is that the materials are all free. That's why I'm choosing the one that I'm choosing for my DIY project to kind of continue along the same vein here of keeping it widely accessible to others. And I want to take into consideration some things that I can do in my immediate environment to potentially have an impact on a larger scale, right? Like my immediate home environment is going to be a smaller scale, but we've learned with sustainability that the opportunities come in when we recognize that the limits of our systems are finite. Right, I'm going to pause real quick. So I have two halves of my bottle, and then I'm going to tape this off and put some holes in it. I drowned out some blue bonnets I was trying to transplant. I'm going to use the same inversion method to catch any excess water runoff. I want to be able to keep my guys outside until I move them. So I'm going to put the plant and the dirt in here and then seal it off with a little bit of room for water runoff so I can just puncture the bottom if I need to, so that my plants don't no more of them get drowned while I'm trying to move them. So back to the sustainability topic and why this is important, this additional reuse option, is because we have to recognize that there are limits within the systems that we're considering, whether it's social, economic, or environmental spheres of sustainability. The choices that we make in whatever realm it is that we are trying to make choices within is inherently going to impact the other spheres or areas, pillars, if you will, of sustainability. Our choices matter, and each of these systems has a finite limit. When it comes to plastic reuse and some of the topics that we've considered here, you can have an economic impact on personal finance. For example, when you find ways to reuse trash, you're repurposing something that you would throw away. So you get a twofold benefit here, right? You are increasing your economic fortitude, if you will, by keeping money in your pocket. Just punctured some holes here. By keeping money in your pocket, and you are also limiting your output of trash or waste into the immediate community, our little corners of the environment that we live in. I don't live in a recycling district. I am moving to one, so hopefully we can just switch to recycling, and that's, something that will be nice there. Different opportunities are available for different folks, and so that's important to consider when it comes to the choices that we make and trying to not reach these limits as quickly as we are reaching them as a society. That's where that sphere comes in, right? Is making small choices to do something different, consider our impact, limit our effect on a global scale eventually, with this normalization to kind of get folks on board with ideas about sustainability. So again, strengths, it's free. I'm using things that I already had laying around. Opportunity is just kind of, keeping this a thing that's going in order to move all of my things, to just not have to spend money on cases to transport the things that I want to transport as well, and to do so in a way that limits my output to the environment. Any threats here to the kind of system that I'm talking about creating would definitely be accessibility. That's why it was important to me to reuse things that I already had. As well. And I think that affects the bottom line of what I've been trying to do with the channel anyway, which is to say, hey, I know not everyone's getting a seat at the table, but I think that together we can share knowledge and we can make better choices as individuals, considering how we impact other individuals within our society. And then, hopefully as a whole, we can do better as a group one day. When it comes to each other, when it comes to the planet, when it comes to things like saving money so that we can put a little more buying power and choices into the things that we do choose to participate in the commerce realm of economy for, not having to, being a little more self-sufficient and not having to rely on corporation stores, what have you, for the things that we do, so we can put our values into where we're spending our money and where we're making those kinds of choices. So those are just a couple of points that we've already touched on with the sustainability topics that I'm incorporating into this one as well. I dug this out in the original video, and I'm going to just kind of drop this in here, root and all. I want to make sure it has plenty of room to breathe. I also checked it to make sure I'm not taking any living beings from the local ecosystem and moving them elsewhere. That would be a threat to the ecosystem that I'm going into. I don't want to introduce anything that isn't already native to the area, which is pretty much nothing from where I'm coming from. So just kind of using some leftover compost from the earlier videos, as well as a little bit of leftover mulch. I'm trying to make sure I'm not getting any of my worms in here, and I'm just going to pack that off. So here you have it. And you can see from the bottom that this holds the root, dirt, soil, and kind of contains the roots, but just enough so that they can breathe. They can pop out a little if they need to, and they can still obviously get plenty of sunshine. And any additional water runoff can fall in down here, and I'll put some holes in that if I need to. So a couple of things to think about today with our little growing leafy green friends, and just kind of the impact we have on the world around us to make sure that we're doing the most that we can. And I mean, maybe it's a weird concept for some to find some intrinsic value in trash, but I am really taking a look at the ability to do more with less, a thing that I was very, very familiar with for a long time, and I'm really kind of getting in touch with that again, and just wanted to share some ideas, some of those limitations, funding, time, etc. Finite resources, another thing we talk about, and sustainability have an impact on the things that we can do to do better as individuals and as a group. That's part of it. Not only does the environment and these individual systems, not only do they have their limits, but the resources that we have available to put into them are finite. And so it's important to me to get realigned with those core values and be confident in what I'm putting into these systems, and then address them in terms of the SWOT that I discussed, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to the system, so I can make sure that I'm making good choices and I'm not leaving a big dent on anything that I'm taking from any spaces that I'm in, or affecting the people around me in a negative way. So those are my thoughts. Here's some of my fresh greenery for the day and my plastic reuse. So feel free to reuse. Again, it's just cut the bottle in half, tape, and some holes here for water runoff, and then tape around the outside to hold both pieces together. Thanks for coming to Mom's house, guys. Have a good day.